Welcome back to Arcadian Insight. Today is Monday, July 22nd, 2019, and it's episode number 25. I am Matt Franceschi, and joining me today I have Adam Wolf, Ben Bachman, Dave Mead, and Josh McNeil. Trending news today, we're going to be talking about the popular Twitch streamer Alinity is being investigated by the SPCA after throwing her cat over her head and onto the floor live on stream. The Google Stadia Director of Product, Andrei Doronichev, held a Reddit Ask Me Anything this week, where he responded to a lot of big questions that the community has about the service. And lastly, we're going to touch on the Blizzard co-founder Frank Pearce has stepped down after 28 years with the company. Main topic today is going to be all about the use of time as a game mechanic. So over the years, developers have found really interesting ways to use time as a mechanic in their games. And I think that there's a couple different ways that we can break this down. But to me, I think the easiest way to start is to look at it from a micro level and a macro level. And at a micro level, I think as players, we've been given the ability to, just for example, we can freeze time, slow or fast forward time, and reverse time as well. What are some of the games that you think that have done this the best throughout the years?
One of the ones that I think of would probably be the first game that really had a heavy influence on focus on the passage of time. More so on a macro level would be Fable, where like the game you start is like a young child and like kind of traumatized by your situation in life and everything going on, and you're kind of like on this story of revenge as like you grow into like a hero is the whole premise of the game. But is being like introduced to that for the first time, and I got really hooked on that idea, like this, you know, it's like an epic, like a novel kind of series, like it kind of fleshes out.
What year did that come out?
Ooh.
Fable 1. That was Xbox original, right?
That would have been early 2000s. I want to say like 03, 04 maybe, but I'm gonna have to check that.
I think Fable was a basement game for us, Wolf.
It was a basement game.
It was a basement game.
That was Bachman Wolf basement nights. Shelly brings down a hot plate of dinner for us. It was great. Those are the times.
Why was Josh never invited to those? Any hard feelings or?
Big time.
Big time. Look at him. He still can't get over it.
He's super bitter.
But the Fable, I remember it was one of the first ones that the time in that one really immersed you into the game as well. You felt like you were growing with that character, and it had a good story too. So as the story developed, you felt like that's what time in games that's what does it for me, is like it's another layer of immersion. You know, you have music, you have all these other ways to immerse the person, and when they have a good time concept, it really like puts you in there.
Right. I'm not sure if it was done the best in Fable. It did get a little wonky as far as your character progressed, he would kind of age, like when you would skill up and things like that. So it points in the game like you'd be this old ass man towards the end pretty much, and like the people around you didn't really age. Like they were still like the same characters.
Did you just age like? Did you age as the story progressed, like it was unavoidable, or did you just age like with the time that you spent playing?
I'm almost positive it was just not even like the time you spent playing. It was when you actually invested to like increase your character's strength. You would age.
You'd get older.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
His physique would change depending on like what you skilled up as, like a wizard or a warrior or whatever like that, and then you would also progress like in years and get older.
Yeah, and I think if you went evil, like his facial, his facial shit would like his face would like sag, and he'd get dark circle. Yeah, he would grow.
He'd go dark matte.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the games for me that I thought of instantly with this was Dishonored, and how you can like pretty much freeze time and move around like as your enemies were frozen, and you can like hit bullets out of the air, or just like set up objects to fall down on people and kill them that way, or set like certain traps up like that. That was one of the first games for me where I realized like, wow, this is like a really cool and unique mechanic that when used correctly, like it's really fun to play with.
Yeah, I've only played the first Dishonored and I really liked it. And
me too.
They did that very well. being able to slow down time and everything. It was very well done in that game.
It's kind of interesting. It seems almost like I don't know, we talk about Divinity all the time, but like that, just another layer to the depth of. I mean, any game you can play, you can obviously kill people in, but like the more creative you can get with that, whether it's manipulating time to like put a box over somebody's head, stuff like that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then Dishonored you could teleport too, so it was cool to like slow down time, teleport behind someone, slice their neck. Oh, you just love that, don't you?
And then once the time would start again, like all of the events would go through.
Yep,
that was really cool.
Mm.
If you watch some of the people on YouTube do some of those missions like perfectly, I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it always comes up like in my recommended, so I end up watching it. It's so cool what the people can do. They'll beat a mission within like 5 minutes, and like they'll kill everybody like perfectly. They'll never be seen. It's amazing. It's like a speed run on like the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, Blink's the Time Sweeper's my game.
Blink's the Time Sweeper.
What the hell is that?
Feeling weird to say that. Yeah.
How long were you waiting to say that one?
Yeah, it's like one of the first original games on Xbox.
Okay.
It was garbage. Nah, I mean, of course, Ocarina of Time is a big one for me.
Mm.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, like kind of two different ways of time mechanics in the same creator of game, in the same genre of game.
I think those are the big ones that come to mind. Besides teasing Wolf about the other day of Time Splitters.
Yeah, I was just Time Splitters ringing in my head.
I've never played it. What was it?
It has time in the tight. I don't remember it being about.
It was.
You remember 007?
You travel through time.
What, like GoldenEye?
Yeah, you know how like your health bars were like those like half circles that went around. You know what I'm talking about? It was like your health, and then your armor was.
Yeah, and it would be on your watch.
It was. It was. It was like almost like it used the same. Engine almost as the. Obviously updated, but it like maybe not engine, but just aesthetic. And it had goofy guns, and you were just going through portals in different points of the time, like you were in Notre Dame, and you were in World War II, and
that was a fun game multiplayer for a while. I remember playing that for a bit.
Like the arena mode, just like to screw around with your buddies and stuff.
Yeah, hopping around through the different times was cool.
That was one of the first games, not that it has much to do with time, but I remember you could have like AI bots to play against, like for the multiplayer to fill out the games, which was, you have like, I think it was like 8-on-8 and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, Time Splitters.
I mean, Majora's Mask is definitely the one that comes to mind, I think, the most. I think this is more like at that macro level, like it's more like the game is built around that concept versus, but I think it's probably like what comes to people's minds, and I think it'll be our thumbnail for this video too. So I think it'll probably be the one that people think of. But when I go ahead, you can go. When I think about Majora's Mask, I mean, I fucking loved that game when I was a kid, collecting the masks and like going back through the days and beating the temples, and like you have to do certain things to get certain masks. I really like that concept. If I had to do that again today, no way. I would never spend the time to do that. It's the most frustrating thing in the whole world.
I didn't really get into Majora's Mask. I played it, but Ocarina of Time, I probably beat that like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Majora's Mask, you had like 3 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 days, and then like at the end, you had to like play the Song of Time, and, like go back to day 1.
Yeah, the moon would crash into the city.
Remember when the Martians invaded the farm?
Yeah, and you'd have to shoot them down. Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ocarina of Time, I think, is just a theme. Obviously it's in the name, but like you said, Majora's Mask definitely revolved around, like the game revolved around the concept of time rather than it just being the theme. Like you had to bounce back and forth in Ocarina of Time too, like only a couple times, but Majora's Mask, it was every time that. You're watching that clock and that moon get closer. It's like, I'm going to have to play that song here pretty soon.
I think that with the music and the atmosphere would be changing too, right? If I remember correctly. At least within that clock town or...
Yeah, it'd be getting more chaotic as the moon got closer. And exactly what you said. Wasn't Fear really time really involved in the Fear games?
I never played it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think you can like. I think you can like stop time or slow time. I've seen people do some things. I've watched videos on it, and you can like just kill enemies in a way like that. But sorry, Ben, go ahead.
More recent game, Outer Wilds. That game is.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to play that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Talking about older games. That's a new one.
And
that looked really good, man.
Do you know what that's out on? Because I've been trying to get it on Steam and it's not there yet.
What's it out on?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know. I read a review online of it.
Me too.
It sounded like he was gonna like change his life over this shit.
Well, it sounds great. You only have like 7 minutes or something. I hope no one.
I think it's more than that. I think it's 21. I think it's 21 minutes.
Okay, you got 7 times 3 minutes, and you got to go through and and once that time allotment is up, you have to go back and do it again. You have to keep getting faster and faster and like clean up your mistakes, and you finally get through to the end. But it sounds awesome.
Little things change, and like the further you get out, it's there's new things that you see each time. I heard it's really good. The guy who was writing the review for it made me almost buy it like automatically.
I think I actually read the review from Jason Schreier from Kotaku, which I can't believe I did, but it was actually a good review. I know. You can give me that face. I probably deserve it, but
I mean, we're just coming off the playing through Bloodstained, so you like that you get that time stop ability in that game. Which harkens back to the Castlevania.
Yeah.
Ability you get as Alucard.
Which what a fantastic game. I love it.
Prince of Persia.
Oh, Prince of Persia. How about we just go with the whole genre here? We'll go with genre that I love, near and dear to me. Turn-based RPGs.
Yeah.
It was about time we got there. What do we last? About 10 minutes in?
Now, old school turn-based RPGs were just pretty much turn-based RPGs. You took your turn, and that was like how the time. But as they got more advanced, the enemies could attack you while you were taking your turn and everything. So,
how are you going to bring up classic RPGs and not say Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger's that's the battle system is about time, turn-based, and also the story as well. It's all about time. Chrono Cross 2, you in Chrono Trigger you go to different times throughout the story, and Chrono Cross you do the same thing. 2 great games.
Another game. This isn't RPG related, but another game that like really evidently came to mind like as soon as I like was thinking about this topic was Braid, which I don't know if you guys have played that. Adam, I think you probably saw me play that in college.
I
was always
the entire thing, I think.
Yeah, it was a really fun game, but it's just like a puzzle platformer. It's made by Jonathan Blow. He makes like a lot of pretty crazy games. He made The Witness too. I don't know if you guys remember that coming out. It was like
Jonathan Blow sounds like a wild guy.
There we go. Yeah, I figured something was coming.
Yeah, I mean, he made something. Fear and Loathing.
You got a good blow, man.
He made something else too. Hang on.
Well, what I want to get into is, time is a conception that's made up through humans made up time. Yes. I mean, like a dog doesn't think like, oh, I gotta get the work tonight. Like consciousness, through consciousness we've developed. If we weren't conscious beings, then we wouldn't have developed time. So I think that's when I was talking about how it adds layers of immersion to it. The more complex that it gets on a story-based level, or if it's like a game mechanic thing, like that really, I think, adds a layer of immersion to it. I think it's a really good thing to have, like as much as you can have that in a game, like the more the better, and it has to be done well as well.
Yeah. So. I can think of one point where in a game where there's obviously time involved, Baldur's Gate 2, but I'm not sure it was done well, like as far as like the whole D&D aspect of it, I understand like that certain amounts of time have to pass, like when your group like rests and stuff like that. But like I was playing through a game recently, and you're like trying to rescue your close like childhood friend, and I'm going through the story and I realize like I haven't even like gotten to her yet, and almost a year has passed. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, it's like what the fuck. You know, from like a role playing point of view, like what the fuck have we been doing for an entire year? Like we couldn't fucking do this a little quicker, you know?
Oh, I'm actually really glad you said that, because I wanted to talk about this macro level of games, and if you have any micros, you can throw them in here as well, like as we talk about this. But I think like other than like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, I think the one thing that I thought of was an RPG where time just kind of progresses forward, like you said, Adam, like at this rate that's just like this in-game time. And it's really cool at some points because the weather will change and you'll have changing of the seasons, and you know, people will like go to bed at night, stuff like that. That's like, you know, just kind of like common overarching things within the game that make the world feel a little bit more real. But I would really like it, I feel like, if devs would find a way to make that feel even more realistic. Like maybe give you a quest and like you have to do it and travel like within a certain amount of time. And they try to do that. They'll say like, oh, get to this spot at midnight and I'll be there, and like a guy will show up at midnight, but it never feels good. It actually just feels more like a chore, I think, because you just have to wait. But I feel like if they did that a little bit better, I think that's something that they could really at least like keep my interest with.
Well, that's what it has to be well. That's what I mean when it has to be well done. It's like you have to like have that balance where like, yeah, it's a game, you know, so the concept of time has to be like not so real.
Yeah,
because we go to play video games to get out of real time.
Like the Elder Scrolls is one that jumps out in my mind when you say things like that, Matt. Like I remember a lot of quests being very heavily dependent on what time of day things were going, like especially like Thieves Guild ones. You had to be like waiting at a certain place at a certain time for something to happen, you know, people to interact with one another, that kind of thing. But yeah, in most cases it was just a chore because you just hit a button and had to like put the slider to like 11 o'clock at night or whatever to progress the story. That's not very engaging.
I think The Witcher was a good one for quests that if you didn't engage with it in time, you would just lose the quest. I can't remember if that was The Witcher or I'm thinking of another game. I remember continuously being like, fuck.
It wasn't the first one of the first quests you do in The Witcher is you have to be near that well for that ghost to come out. Like it had to be at like daybreak, you know, noon for the ghost to even be there. So yeah, I think you're right. Witcher definitely has quests.
Yeah. I was talking about the that you would start quests, and if they weren't done in a certain period of time, then you would totally lose the quest, and you'd be like, that I think that is in The Witcher. I'm pretty sure about that. Witcher 3, that is.
Are there any games that... This is something that I think would be really cool, and there's probably games that do this that I can't think of right now, maybe like an indie game, but something where you have a certain allotment of time where you have like certain choices of what can be done in that time, and you have to choose, maybe you have like 10 choices what you can do within 10 hours or something, and you have to choose 3. And like if you have to like really pick those choices carefully because like they'll matter for like the next day, right? I feel like there are games that do that, but nothing's coming to mind like right now as I'm speaking about it.
It wasn't like Fable 3. Didn't you guys play that one?
Oh, Fable 3 was like
that at the end. Like you had to make some seemingly tough choices at the time, and you only had so much you could
you make them. You could like build up your military or your riches or like help people.
Well, aren't all the Telltale games like that? You have a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I didn't know that.
You got like a little timer.
Yeah, there's a little timer on it. I think you have more time for some of the decisions and less time for other ones.
Okay.
But where the story's at and like what's happening to you, you know, if you're getting attacked, like you gotta do it real quick.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of response and dialogue, you just don't have all day to sit there and contemplate what your response is going to be, especially in a moment like what you're saying where there's stuff going on.
I like that. Now, what I don't like on the other side of that is a quick time event where you have to like do something within a game within like 5 minutes, and like you're running down a hallway and like, everything's on fire and you have to get to the door. It just doesn't feel
Resident Evil.
It does feel very Resident Evil.
It's a horror game. Horror or like Metal Gear Solid.
It's never done right. I'm always getting to the end and there's like 3 minutes left and I'm like, what the hell was I running around for?
I think Until Dawn was pretty much like the entire game was just one giant quick time event.
Okay. What's that game?
Yeah, don't play that game, man.
What is it?
It's like that horror game where that serial killer is killing like it's like your classic slasher theme, movie theme, horror game, and like you have you're running down the hall, or you have to hold your breath with hold X to hold your breath, or it just in moments where you're being chased
he's talking about the button pressing, Matt. That you have to that pops up.
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
Matt loves those.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan.
You wish that was like your real life, huh? If you could just walk around and beep.
Yeah, it'd be really fun. I mean, they're already in 90% of games. They might as well just make it 100. Just top it off. I think outside of these elements, the other thing that I really wanted to talk about was also that games, and Ben, you kind of hinted at this with Chrono Trigger, but games have done a really, really good job, especially like in the last decade or so, of using time as a storytelling device versus like putting actual like time elements as a mechanic. And I think that can be like something like Chrono Trigger where you shift around in time, but I think also games are able to use, similar to how movies do, especially like in like a Christopher Nolan movie, like that's what I'm thinking of right now, but they're able to like give you different snippets of the time period that the game plays out through, and you kind of have to like piece the game together as you go.
I like that.
Are there any games that have used like these elements of time as plot devices versus using them as mechanics in the game that you can think of?
I mean, flashbacks are in a story, especially story-driven games.
That's a great point. Yeah,
and I love, I like games where with books as well. I mean, I know we're talking about games, but they kind of crosses. I like when something ends, like a part of the story ends, and it leaves you that room to make up, your own. Like it guides you a little bit, but it leaves you room to make up your own story and like let your imagination run wild a little bit. I really like that in both games and books. I mean, it's really bad that I can't think of any examples in games, but
I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but Ocarina of Time is the big one. Isn't that Spider-Man game a lot like that too?
The newer one?
Edge of Time, Spider-Man Edge of Time.
I don't know.
I've never played it.
Judging by the name, I think
it's probably a good assumption.
Potentially, it could be there. Yeah.
What about? Did you play Bastion, Matt?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that a time-driven game?
So,
in a way,
I think
right?
the story.
So yes and no. Yeah, a little
exactly
bit.
What he's talking about.
A little bit. There are two little training sessions that you can go in where you'll learn about the main character's past a little bit more. But at the end of the game, you're given spoilers. But if you haven't played Bastion by now, I'm sorry, but it's pretty old at this point. I think that probably should have played it. It's you get a choice where you can either go back in time and try to stop the calamity, which is something that happened. It was a weapon that was used to like pretty much destroy the entire population. And reset it and try to do it again, and like maybe that won't happen. Or instead of doing that, you can just kind of leave the world in its state and just fly away to a new land with like the people that you still have. So yeah, it's to answer your question, yes, it is about time.
It's kind of like a philosophical, like moral question too.
It's deep at the end there.
It's a great game. Yeah, if you haven't played Bastion, it's like $10. It's one of the best games I've ever played, I think. So
and Wolf, I mean Ben might know, but Wolf and Dave would know. Isn't Burning Crusade have time travel elements in it?
Well, yeah. WoW has like that. WoW is all about like the bronze dragon flight. How like they would travel through time or to alternate realities or whatever, and like they try to like alter like the past or whatever, and to influence how the future turns out. It's kind of a little bit cheesy because it's like, oh, going back in time.
Yeah, it made me feel like you said it was cheesy. Quarters of time is what I remember. Wasn't that the instant? There was a couple instances in the
Caverns of Time. You mean
Caverns of Time?
Yeah,
Caverns of Time. Yeah, and Daenerys.
Well, I mean, I understand the idea behind it. They were letting you like go through and see like more of the lore, things happening in the past. Like, didn't you rescue Thrall from?
Yeah, like you help him escape from Darnhold or whatever.
And then the other one was it Medivh? You were protecting, or it was some other mage like guy. You were protecting him while he's like trying to close.
Yeah, I think it was Medivh.
Is he trying to close the dark portal or something at that time?
No, they're trying to make it not open.
Yeah,
and you want it to open because you don't want to change like what happened in the past.
Chromie. Time Mage.
Bronze Dragonflight.
Yeah.
Time Mages in Final Fantasy. It's got time.
Yeah, that's a bad example, but
did anybody play that new Quantum Break game? Wasn't that like
haste is OP, dude?
I wanted to bring up BioShock Infinite, but I didn't know if you guys would let it fly or not, because I still don't really understand what happened at the end of the game, but it's like all about those different
worlds.
You can only have so many lighthouses. What's the point?
Yeah, I don't know if it's really about time, but it's like the different dimensions that you jump through. I don't know if you want to I don't know if you want to put this like in the same vein, but
so are you on the same page as me, Wolf, or it's like you're just straight BioShock, like original BioShock 1?
I like Infinite
for you.
Thanks, Ben.
Good.
I didn't play through the entirety of the first one, and I watched Matt play through Infinite a lot. So, and I never even touched the second one. So
they're all great. 1 and 2 is like you said, it's a different game. It's a different game in my opinion.
Infinite's actually my favorite one. I like the environment better.
I like them. I like the first one probably best.
Thank God.
Infinite was funny to me. You know what I mean? Like it was goofy, quirky.
I mean, when I say that Infinite's better, they're both like in my top 20, top 15 games I've ever played. I'm not like shitting on BioShock 1. It's fantastic.
I think the other day you were like, no, garbage.
I really like Infinite.
I think you misheard.
I thought the story was funny. I thought like the soldiers, how they were like. I thought
just everything about the first one was so good.
Like
the vending machines. Come back when you got some money, buddy.
Now you're getting that. I like BioShock. BioShock 1.
Yeah.
The crazy people running around and shit.
What do they call them?
Splicers. Sorry. I had a little bit of caffeine, like a sip of tea earlier, so I think I'm.
Well, you know how that makes you. You got to be careful.
What are they called? Splicers?
Splicers,
yeah, splicers. So. Splicer, no splicing.
Yeah, what was your favorite ability, Matt, from that game? Like, what was it?
Which one? BioShock 1?
Did the first one have the bees, or was that only BioShock 2?
No, the second one had it.
I had the bees.
The first one.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I like the first one better, but I think the best
I like the drill
out of all 3 games is the drill. The drill is like this way.
I love that. That was a good feeling. Picking.
I just really like the shock. I mean, I know it's boring, but that's the one I use the most.
Oh, loser!
I knew I was going to get that.
Yeah, your old grandpa shock.
Here we go. Yeah.
Throw the shock on the water. You get him to run into it.
Oh yeah, fuck me then. Whatever.
No, there's
some. But we were going somewhere before BioShock came up.
Well, I was talking about jumping to different dimensions. That's what I was talking about.
Time keeps on slipping.
Would you count that as a time mechanic, though? I think this is kind of like alternate realities.
Well, that's actually what I was bringing up. I mean, I don't know if you would count that.
Well, I'll give you a little story. So I stormed through that game because I really liked it, and I got to the end, and I didn't do BioShock Infinite, and I didn't do like the part where you were on the ship at the end. I didn't do that for like a month, and then I came back. I was like, I need to beat this shit. So I came back, I beat it, and then I got to that ending part. And I'm like, oh, it's cool, like what's going on here? Then I want to see that in the story. I couldn't open the fucking door to the lighthouse. Like it wouldn't let me open the goddamn door. So I couldn't have the goddamn game. I didn't even.
I think you just gotta walk somewhere, man.
No. It was a bug. Look it up.
Nah, I don't know, man.
I was pissed.
Well, you must have been in the.
I hit the forums. I was
You must have been the only dimension that had that happen because I've never heard of that.
I think Infinite
in all of time, Ben was the only one who couldn't open up.
I'll give Infinite that it had more like intuitive abilities. Like rather than BioShock, you had your freeze and your fire and your lightning.
I just don't know why you don't like the story. It was funny, man. It was funny, and it was.
I liked Infinite.
Hey, well, anyway, getting off the BioShock train.
Okay, yeah.
Are there any other games that use storytelling as a plot device that you want to bring up just before I get onto this last question on this subject that I want to get through?
I think that's about it. Eh?
Time as a plot device?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's definitely more.
I mean, there's a ton.
Well,
yeah.
let me
Can't
just throw this out here, guys. Give you a Ben Stradamus insight here.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Time is passing while we're playing the game, so it is inserted into everything.
All right, you have some more caffeine. We're moving on. All right.
We are playing a game right now. Oh,
last question I have might be a tough one, but I think that we talked about. Well, we brought up a lot of examples about how time can be used really well. I think both as a plot device and as a micro mechanic in a game, as well as a macro mechanic. I think that time, when done well, is really, really cool. One of the coolest things that a dev can do for a game. But when it's not done well, I think you can tell as well, and it seems bored and it seems lazy. What are some things that you'd potentially like to see devs do a little bit differently or expand upon with the concept of time as we continue to move, through games getting better and better?
I want to see more time elements as far as like aging with the story and progression in that sense. Like when you pick up a game like Skyrim, obviously like there's a passage of time and not necessarily a ton of time. Most people probably didn't play like an in-game's year worth of time, I would imagine, but maybe some people did with their characters. But if there was a system in place in games like that open world RPG where the passage of time seemed to matter a little bit more, where the world just wasn't always stagnant everywhere until you show up. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd like to see, not only do you age, but things are evolving around you based on the amount of time passing. That troll in the cave, has shit to do as well. He's not just sitting there waiting for you to show up whenever you get around to it. That kind of thing.
I like that a lot.
I like that a lot, but I think the reason that it hasn't been done to a large extent is due to taxing on development and data wise. Mm-hmm. So, but in the future, I think that'd be really cool to see that more. It's just a world that's developing and growing as you are exploring through it and everything. How cool would that be? I mean, that's basically really cool. Like the far extent of
even something reality, as simple as like cities maybe growing over time and stuff like that. Just changing a little bit.
Or nature, nature, like you come back to a place and it might have been populated before and now it's not populated, it's overgrown, there's monkeys jumping around.
And maybe it's even tied to the decisions that you make. Maybe you decide not to help that city out with something and then you go back like a year later and like everybody's dead or, it is overgrown. That would be very cool. And you just really don't see that.
Yeah, and like everything you guys just said would be like really good for like WoW and MMORPGs. Oh yeah, like all those things. You know what I mean? Think about how much better of a game WoW would be if like the cities like actually changed a little more frequently, or like people aged or whatever. It's not I mean it happens a little bit, but not. It's what I mean. It's like very infrequent. It's more like with like every expansion or whatever things change. It's not as like.
What if your character could die and you would like have a son and then you would be him like when he came of age? With like the same stats as the father. Man, that'd be something else, huh?
You couldn't play for that period of time though.
There's a game that did that. Below, isn't that how Below works? Is your like the child of the previous character?
Oh, is it? I know that's a more recent game, right?
I think so.
I like that premise, but it'd have to be done really well, right? I mean, obviously people have like an attachment to, especially in WoW, to the character that they've made and played on for a long period of time. Like to have to essentially restart in a sense, like you're a different person, that kind of thing. It'd be tough to sell.
Yeah, so my big thing is, while we're in this period of time where there's not really we're not really there technologically to make these games that we would love to see with worlds that are growing and changing and whatnot. So in the meantime, I'd like to see some developers like start edging towards that maybe, and continue to give us good game mechanics that are involved with time and whatnot, and slowly start to edge toward that. So that's what I would like to see within the next, however long, until they can give us, if they can in our lifetime.
Well, it seems like the indie devs are willing to try a lot of these concepts a little bit more than the AAA guys. Because
like a lot of time concepts are easier to implement in a single player game than a multiplayer game.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? There's like millions of people playing WoW. Like it'd be really hard to like make everyone's decisions impactful enough. You know what I mean? To make everyone's decisions like impact the world, but like still like integrate it for all those players. Like it'd be really hard to do that.
There would have to be a cap on the amount of people in the world, and
they'd like have to go back to the old.
There you go.
They'd have to go back to like the old servers, really.
Yep.
And like everybody.
And what would they?
Now. They have to get rid of sharding.
Don't get rid of sharding.
I wonder if they could like make you make decisions within WoW, and depending on how many players made which decision, like whatever, if 51% of people made a certain decision, then the world would change that way.
I think they have implemented that in MMO. Well, for instance, like they add like the conquest point thing, the conquest thing in Final Fantasy 11. Wolf, you can help me with this, but people, if people go to an area and kill shit and do quests in the certain area, then they take it over with their faction.
Right. Yeah, that is a cool premise. And then there's like a running tally period, and it tells you how many days until your faction or what factions are taking control of the area of different areas in the world. I mean, it had a loose effect on the game, which was cool, something little. One thing I remembered in WoW was the war effort for the AQ opening.
Yeah, in Classic, yeah.
Where like different, I believe at that time different servers finished it at different times based on like it was depending on how big your server was, how many resources you had to gather and turn in and like essentially push the story like into its next phase for the entire game, which was pretty wild concept at the time. But did they ever really go back to doing that? I can't remember another event that was
not to that scale.
No, yeah, I think that was short-lived. I think that was
there. It was never as epic.
It didn't align with their growth. Their growth for the game, their ideas for growth for the game.
There's been things that you had to contribute to, but they're like, you know what I mean? It just wasn't like that big epic thing that it was back then.
Yeah.
Where like everybody, it's just like not. It was never as exciting. Like in BFA, you contribute to like the war effort, so you can go like, take this territory from the Alliance or from the Horde or whatever. But it's all right, but it's not like you don't get like that epic feeling that you're contributing to something like big, like you did when like AQ was opening.
Yeah, they could have probably done something with like the Wrath of the Lich King. Like I imagine a lot of people probably would have really got into like making like this war effort to like fight the Lich King kind of thing, like collecting resources and then pushing the story forward in time, like after you collect enough, that kind of premise. Like we can't go to war with them until this happens.
They kind of just do that through like time gating the story with quests and stuff, rather than like actually contributing a resource or whatever. Which I mean, the time gating things I don't necessarily care for, because it's not like a natural progression. It's just like you experience the story up to this point, and then it's just like stopped. And nothing progresses until the next, till 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And it's just like dead air for you. Like you can do all the quests to progress up to that point one day. Then you have 3 weeks of just like, okay, dicking around waiting for the next piece to unlock. And it's not like a natural progression.
Yeah. That's the limitation there, right? With the MMO RPG.
Yeah, yeah. I think MMOs are just garbage.
That's good. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up with time before we jump on to trending here?
More babies, just tons. Everyone's having kids. When's the last time you had like an NPC walk up to you with like a little kid? Okay.
Yeah, baby, not a lot of babies.
This is my child, Joseph. I'd like you to meet him. You'd be like,
there's babies all over.
I don't want to hear a bunch of babies crying all over the place when I'm in game.
All right, let's talk about Alinity.
Hold that baby. Come play with that baby.
All right, yeah, we're jumping
babies.
Dude, we're gonna do baby game.
We're not doing baby anything. We're out of here.
Okay. All right, it could be cool. There'd be time into it.
Could be good.
Baby.
Octo baby.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, first story. So the popular Twitch streamer Alinity is being investigated by the SPCA after throwing her cat over her head and onto the floor live on stream. PETA supports this investigation and is calling for Alinity's removal from Twitch with this tweet. Take a stand for cats and please remove Alinity from Twitch immediately. She is using the platform to post animal abuse, which sends a dangerous message to anyone watching her videos. Cats are not props to abuse for more views. And they even put a little cat face emoji there just to let you know they were really serious about it. This promoted people on social media to start posting clips of Alinity's other screw-ups. One in particular in which she gave her cat a sip of vodka. Alinity replied to this clip stating that it happened well over a year ago and that it was a stupid thing to do. Yes, it was. I've seen a lot of people calling for a permanent removal from Twitch, but I looked into Twitch's community guidelines and I couldn't find anything explicitly stating or forbidding animal abuse. There are rules surrounding violence, as well as a rule that simply says that you cannot break any local, national, or international laws on stream, but nothing that was like very, very clear that I could tie that to. What are your thoughts on this? I think that we can probably all agree that she's like a real piece of shit, but do you think that she deserves to be kicked off of Twitch permanently for this?
No.
No, I don't
even. I don't even think that she's a piece of shit per se. I mean, the vodka thing was a little bit stupid. I mean, that was just like spur of the moment, like kind of maybe she's a little bit immature. I don't think she deserves.
I mean, she didn't drop the cat off a freaking balcony or something.
Yeah. I've seen people throw cats like that before. I mean, I don't think that I would be like, don't do that if someone did that. Or
it's not like she turned around and like jabbed the thing right in the nose, for being on her desk.
Yeah, she didn't throw like a football.
Yeah,
cats
land on their feet.
She'd have to have some arm to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's just blown out of somebody. Yeah. There are people who are enjoying the fact that they can take the opportunity to burn somebody. Right. I think,
especially someone that's higher up the tree than them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the moral who can stand higher on the moral fucking ground, on moral ground. Like I'm up here, fuck you.
The bigger Twitch
to a cat.
I think the bigger crime going on in Twitch now is the fact that people can take bath water and put it in a mason jar. Not taking your cat and going like that over your shoulder. For shame for buying.
Here's my overall view on it. I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't either.
Should she have done it? Throwing the cat? I don't think that was bad at all. Like,
I think throw.
The vodka thing is like, it's poison. Yeah, okay. Here's my thing with the vodka thing is like, everyone's like,
it's poison.
She spit a little bit of fucking vodka in the cat's mouth. Meanwhile, you go on the fucking TV, it's like advertised. It's like, drink this fucking poison until you can't walk and you're fucking shitting your pants. It's like,
see people
where's your priorities at, you
videos
dumbasses?
Nobody pressed charges on the people who are letting the monkey smoke cigarettes or, get stoned. But this girl is being like stoned into,
I saw people taking it. Well, I saw people taking it as an opportunity to remove like very, very big competition for themselves. That's the way that I took a lot of this.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's like a cynical point of view, but I think people would love to get her off the platform so they can get more viewers.
I think it's obvious. We talk.
I don't know. I think that those people would just go to another booby streamer. You know what I mean? They would just go to another.
Well, they will, but I mean, if you're a booby streamer that's under the top booby streamer, wouldn't you want that one to go away?
Touche.
I don't think it's that much of it. I think what it is. It has one thing that has to do with is it's social media. 1, 2. It's an animal. You've got animal people out there who think like, don't yell at my cat, it'll be traumatized for years. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's a cat, for Christ's sakes.
You must be a dog person.
Don't yell at the dog. Do you yell at the dog? It's like, yeah, you yell at the dog. You gotta let it.
What are you talking about?
I think you give him a nice smack on the butt.
I think my overall views,
even the cats, give him a nice smack on the butt.
I think my overall views on this are, I haven't really liked her a lot. I really don't like the whole booby streamer thing, but I didn't like it when she was like in that copy strike thing with PewDiePie. She kind of rubbed me the wrong way with that. What was that, like a year ago now?
Yeah.
So like I already really didn't get like a good vibe from her, and then this kind of happened that I really don't like her more. But like to think that you're gonna ruin her livelihood and her financial like success over something like this, it's not that bad. I mean, you can't do that to people over like a little mistake like this. It's not.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but like how I view it too is like this incident by itself to me is not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like you throw your cat over your head, like you tossed. It's a toss. It wasn't like it wasn't that aggressive in my opinion. But standalone, it's like not that big of a deal. But like she has a history of doing like lots of really like dumb and questionable shit that like she probably shouldn't be doing. So at some point, like fuck you, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean I don't like her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying she should be gone or whatever, but like if you like have a history of doing like ridiculous shit that like is borderline whatever moral
it's immaturity in my opinion. It's a mixture of immaturity and of course if she's getting viewers from doing stupid shit, which she can do,
right,
she just do stupid shit. So I think there is a line. I don't think she crossed it in this case, but like you're saying, if things are compounding, and she's doing stupid shit, it's like I wish just everyone would collectively come together and say like, let's stop watching her. She's fucking doing stupid shit to get our attention. You know, like,
no, but it'll do the opposite.
Stop being.
Yeah, do you think that this
block there just to see how, you know, for even a reaction?
I never even watched her
from her over the whole ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that this helps her in the long run, or do you think it hurts her?
Oh, what's the saying? Any, you know, bad advertising is better than no advertising, or
all publicity is
good publicity.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
This is definitely a situation where
it's very true for Twitch if it's not something that's like really bad. Because people like that, like extreme, like edgier content to go to. They want you to be like very odd. I'm not saying like they want people throwing their cats over the house.
It's free advertisement.
Yeah, look how popular
everybody's advertising for. That's what's
just
funny.
Gonna say that as long as you don't walk into a public bathroom and start recording people.
I didn't even think that was that bad. Like people were getting all up in arms on that now.
Well, it's just the times right now, the outrage, the fake outrage most of the time. I don't think most of these people
that's
probably
what I think. People just like
forget about this the next day.
It's a weird time, you know, we have these devices where we can see everything. You got your laptop. Here's my phones. I got my phone. I got a tablet. You know, we got everything. Our TVs, you can turn on all these apps and stuff. And then we have these cameras, these webcams right here, right there. Mm-hmm. That we're recording ourselves and we're putting ourselves out there and everything. It's never been done before. The exposure into people's lives is like at an all-time high. So like, of course, like it's gonna be weird. I think like there's gonna be like you guys are talking about all this outrage from seeing people, not only seeing people as they truly are, but seeing what people will do in order for popularity, notoriety. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like to go on. You're saying there's like, you know, an immaturity level there. You know, like people who are not going to gain anything from any of these events that happen. These Twitch streamers are out there to burn them. You know, they take every opportunity to write some fake ass article or and some tweet just to like get a response out of people, just, the coin term troll, there's just people who want to get a reaction out of people.
Well, I mean, even not just being a troll. I mean, if you tweet about it and it picks up, you might get 100 likes. And I mean, people want that interaction, right?
Yeah.
The Google Stadia director of product, Andrei Doronichev, held a Reddit Ask Me Anything this week where he responded to a lot of big questions that the community has about the service. One question and answer that I'd like to specifically bring up is when he was asked this question. If the Stadia service is discontinued, do we know what, if anything, will happen with games that we've purchased? Which is a really good question, because that's a big question that I had. So he stated that you would have the option to save your data locally if you want to, which I thought was really cool. I still didn't really think that it answered the question, because I don't think that it was really addressed of whether or not if Stadia would go away as a product if you would keep your games. But I did think that being able to store your data locally was a cool option for people. But he also said this in the same answer, which is a piece that I really wanted to talk about. And this is kind of a long quote, so I apologize, but this is what he said. So he said, moving to the cloud is scary. I felt the same way when music was transitioning from files to streaming. I still have all my old CDs in the garage, although it's hard to find a CD player these days. Smiley face. The same happened to movies and photos and my docs and other files, and it's great. Games are no different. Eventually, all of our games will be safely in the cloud too, and we'll feel great about it. So I have two points here that I want to make on that comment, and those are: one, I personally can see major distinctions between video games and music or photo. They're not the same thing. Number two, to continue saying repeatedly that the games are all going to be in the cloud someday and everybody's going to feel great about it doesn't make it any more true. You can say it 1,000 times. It doesn't mean that people actually want that to happen. So how do you feel about this particular comment? Because this is the one that I really didn't like. But just the service overall, or just anything else that happened if you got a chance to read it.
Well, I think if they're just going to force this cloud thing to go on, we're not going to have much of a choice in the matter. Like look at Fallout 76, they sent out physical copies, and all that was in the case was a cardboard disc with a product key. You know what I mean? So whether it's Google Stadia, Bethesda streaming service, Steam, whatever, and whatever you want to talk, whatever example you want to use, if that's what they're going to push for and it continues to go that way, we won't have a choice either way. Yeah. I don't think they should be marketed at such a high price then too, because then you're, look at a physical, look at how much more is involved in the price of a physical copy and distributing that than a digital copy.
Yeah. I think that's the main takeaway for me from this is, everything's going to go to cloud. I mean, companies want this to happen because they're already paying. They're paying for the infrastructure in order to facilitate cloud services. So, and they want, and in the long run, it's cheaper for them. Like McNeil's bringing up, there's the shipping to get everything. You got to manufacturing for everything when you're dealing with physical. So it's going to be a thing of the past. I don't know when, but it seems like it's moving at a really fast pace. The thing is, okay, if you're going to take the physical aspect, which has more benefits to the consumer, in my opinion, if you're going to take the physical aspect away and you're going to give us through, our products through cloud, then what do we get out of it? And the answer to that should be reduced prices.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It would have to be. I mean, think about how games were managed, I guess to some extent now, but much more when we were kids. You had the physical copies of games, and when you were done playing them, you went to GameStop or whatever was close by. You traded them in, and like they still held like monetary value towards like new purchases and things like that. That doesn't really exist anymore. I can't go on my Steam library and start trading in games that I don't play because like there's nothing actually that I don't really. What do I own there? Like the rights to play the game, but there's no like. I guess once you take like the physical. The physicality out of the game itself or the product, you really don't have anything. Just kind of scary.
And then two things. You need reduced prices, like Ben said, and you need a guarantee that you'll be able to localize those files.
It seems like they are guaranteeing that you can localize
on a personal.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows for how long, but it seems like that was like a promise, but I don't know. I mean, I understand that, like, I think just me personally, like, I'm trying to avoid being afraid of the cloud, which I'm really not. It just seems like it's something that I don't want. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I mean, maybe a lot of people do, but I just feel like even if the trend is moving that way and it's coming, I mean, I'll deal with it. I'm not going to stop playing games over it, but I just don't really see the need for it. I like having my hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm in agreement with you. I understand the feeling you have towards this. I'm just a little bit more accepting of it because I just see it's inevitable. It's not in our hands.
It's being a realist rather than
Yeah. Well, I mean, Matt knows it's gonna fucking happen too. He's just.
Oh yeah.
He just.
Yeah, I get it.
He realizes it's important because it's giving some of it. When you own something and you have it physically, it's yours. You know what I mean? Like they can't take it away from you.
You have control over what happens to it.
Yeah.
Once everybody's on the cloud, there's gonna be no control. There might not even be like a great quality control. I mean, you never know. I mean, if everybody's already on the cloud and nobody has hardware, they can kind of do whatever they want.
Well, that's sorry.
And that's the scare, and that's like very pessimistic, but it's the truth. And I feel like with everything moving to the cloud, I mean, you really don't have much control over anything that you're doing right now in your life. Like you don't really own anything.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what we've gotten into when we've talked more extensively about Stadia. Is that feeling where like it could just be taken away from you. What if you don't have the devices or anything? Or you lose the devices or whatever, or
Are you any more afraid of looking at your bank account, and seeing your number rather than opening a safe and seeing money there?
Well, yeah. So that's what I wanted to say was we've made transitions like this in many different ways. So
I think it's
just we forgot about it and we've got used to it.
My take on it is I'm not really too worried about it because it's just like a changing of the times kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, well, am I going to lose access? I got 200 some games on my Steam library. Am I going to have those someday?
This is okay. So,
it's a lot of money I put on that.
I remember what I was going to say. So what we were talking about with Stadia was like once we lose some of those, we continually lose powers as consumers. That leaves us susceptible to degradation of quality because we don't have any more power. They can just put it out, and that's why they're trying to make video games so fucking big, is because like they can just put out garbage and make garbage, and people are going to buy it because it's like, oh, we've been playing the video games. We're not going to give up on the video games.
Oh, I'm already paying the subscription fee. I might as well buy the game.
It's like old people with news. Think about that. Like old people watch news all their fucking life. They're still watching the garbage ass news, and the news is like garbage, So it's like
that garbage ass news. That garbage ass news is garbage.
Yeah. Really hitting us hard there, but no. To Josh's point when he said, like our bank account, like you see the number there, like you look it up on the app online or whatever, but you can still go down to your bank and withdraw at least a certain amount of money at any point in time. Like I feel like you don't have that same level. You may not have that same level of like assurance with something like the Stadia.
That's true. Well, that's true.
Even
but
Steam
you can
at some
still
points.
you can pop up your device and play your game too.
I think my main fear is like the losing access to the services due to like quote unquote bad behavior deemed by the people that control the games, which in this case is Google, which is like the worst company to have control of that. Because like they love trying to censor free speech. So like that's just something I really don't like. I think really my main problem is that it's Google and somebody else.
I think it's just like another avenue of somebody trying to push their way into a niche market, where there's already developed, Steam, Origin, GOG. Yeah, it's like, Google, what are you doing? Like, what do you are you just gonna start doing the same thing Epic is and just buying?
Yeah, they are gonna. It's a company that makes money. They know that like video games are gonna be the future form of entertainment.
That's the worrying part to me. It's just people just buying the rights to these developers games to sell them on their platform for permanent.
Well, I don't know if that bothers me if the quality is there. And it's not saturated with garbage, with the political shit and stuff like that. Like
Steam and them, they're not like pushing this. Like, what were the two options you have for Stadia? Does anybody know offhand? You have
it was the Pro,
regular
the
one.
Pro and the normal. Yeah,
you can get they said. I read on a tweet or something that said in 68 hours you could have over 1 terabyte used or 2 terabytes used or something like that. And there's still parts in this country that don't have unlimited data use. You don't see Steam, doing that.
Well, I think this is the funny thing about this is we talked about this Stadia one. I wish you were with us, McNeil. Was this? It's going to be funny to experience or to see this pan out, but this is kind of going to be like an urban thing to me. Like it's only going to be where the really fast internet is, people who are really taking advantage of Stadia.
Yeah. It's trendy too.
Yeah. So, and unless they have unless they have insight about something with technology that it's going to be able to be done. And they would,
They seem to think that the ISPs are just gonna raise the data caps on the day that they roll this stuff out. They seem to have no worry about the data cap. Every time they're asked about it, they're like, "Oh no!"
Not every place has data caps.
Yeah, but some people do.
Okay,
that limits their market.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
true. It doesn't limit. Yep.
But what Matt's saying is do they just think that because in benefit of their platform, are these companies just going to raise their data caps for everybody and not charge them on top of it? It's just here's more money.
Yeah, it's really strange the way that they're talking about it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry, I didn't pick up on what you're saying, Matt.
True that. For the people who want to use it and still see, like you guys had stated in previous podcasts, that you think it's going to be a smaller window or group of quote unquote gamers using these games, until we actually see in the future, what devs they'll start buying rights to their games for, and what games we start seeing. There's no way to know how this is going to pan out until we start seeing what these libraries consist of, and people actually using it. But I don't know. To me, it's just a big giant storm cloud because there's the data caps. No guarantee that they're saying that they'll give you local, But here we go. We're hearing news about DDoS people. It's all these different things can come in and cause instability for this platform.
Yeah,
and I'm just not with it.
The thing that I kept on repeating, probably getting annoying to Matt, is I think they have some insight. Otherwise, they wouldn't take this big of a, chance.
I think that, you're probably correct in thinking that, but we did talk about the pricing, Ben, and you said that they probably had it figured out, and the pricing's fucking awful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm terrible. I know this is bad, but go ahead. Give me the rundown.
The standard package is essentially an advertisement for their big one, and there's nothing there to say that they can't bottleneck.
So let me just ask a question real quick. The standard is the Ben Stradamus prediction, correct?
It's you have to pay for all the games full price. Is there a fee? Is there a sub fee for the normal? The Pro, there is a sub fee. You still pay full price for all the games, but you get one free game a month that they give to you. They have one free game that goes to all.
Oh, they gift.
Yeah, you don't get to choose it.
$130 up front and then $10 per month
for the Pro.
Pro.
Yeah.
And that gets you a
controller. And then what's the normal?
And then you get 4K resolution with up to 60 FPS. And then the standard, the Stadia base, you get no upfront costs. Nothing included. Yeah, you get
Is there a sub fee though with a normal?
Okay, so the Pro you get Chromecast Ultra, Stadia controller, 3-month subscription, Buddy Pass, Destiny 2, monthly cost $10 an hour, 4K resolution, 60 FPS, 5.1 Dolby Surround HDR color. It also supports Chromecast Ultra computer with Chromecast, Google Pixel, and then it's like they're calling it the a la carte of either tiers.
The a la carte.
And discounts on game purchases, free games at regular cadence, early reservation of Stadia name games. So there you go. Early reservation of Stadia name. I mean, but then with the other one, you get 1080 resolution, 60 FPS with stereo sound. You get nothing else.
I don't like anything about this fucking thing. I don't like Google. No, I don't like Google. I don't like the service. I see no pro. I don't see one thing about it.
Your frame rate is essentially tied to your.
It stinks.
To your, your download speed.
Yeah.
So there's nothing there saying that they can't bottle. Like the big conspiracy was our ISPs are bottlenecking. The whole internet neutrality bullshit that we just went through over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
There's nothing here saying that they can't do the same thing here and bottleneck your FPS on the base version to incentivize you to turn around and give them that $140.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys have used a Chromecast Ultra, but I mean, I have one, and that's not a very good piece of hardware to begin with. Even just streaming like Netflix and things like that, using your phone, the app to go through it. I can't imagine the frustrations of trying to use that thing to stream something and have like a friendly user interface to get in and work with.
I've never seen some people with the Chromecast.
Them giving that out sounds like just a ploy to them is to further puke this product out to everybody.
Well, I think that's
you
one
get
of the
this.
They're just vomiting things out into the game sphere. They're like,
this shit's shady,
take
man.
take this.
I mean, Ben, we talked in great length about that podcast I listened to with Sam Harris and Roger McNamee. He used to be a consultant for Mark Zuckerberg, and he wrote the book Zucked. But he goes into great detail about how Facebook and Google like build these products, especially Google, like Gmail and Google Maps and everything they've ever done, Google Glass, and they do it strictly to learn more about you, to build your profile, to advertise to you more and more. And I just see this as just another product that they can get you to use for, well, in this case, not a low price, but just to get a bunch of data on you to advertise to you even better. And I don't like it. I'm not going to use it. No way.
It's data harvesting, and
it's slimy to the core. Everything that you hear about this just makes it sound worse and worse.
Well, and then I want to take a step back and think are we getting all worked up and angst up because it is Google? You know what I mean?
I don't want to see these guys come out with shit and then it have some even semi-success with whatever group of people you want to refer to as the gamers using it. And then you see other people turn around and say, well, they got away with it. So, now then Steam will turn around and be like, well,
we
can bottleneck their FPS count if we just, charge them streaming. So, I don't want to see this go anyway.
We'll see.
I know Microsoft is working towards it already.
Yeah.
They're already talking about that.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they teamed up with Sony? Or
they're both, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they teamed up for their cloud-based stuff.
Yep.
I just think their thing, I'm going to stand by what I said and say that I'm kind of just whatever with the whole everything moving to the cloud because we're already going there. But just the marketing that is coming out through this is what's worrying.
Well, then Matt is correct to feel the way that he is when there's practices like this.
I jumped on buying digital copies of stuff as soon as it started happening. I can't sit here and complain about it. I would be the biggest hypocrite ever to sit here and be like, yeah.
No, so did I.
I would much rather sit there, especially could you imagine having digital download when Halo 2 or, you're 12 and you're waiting for midnight. You don't got to be standing in some fucking line outside of GameStop somewhere to get your game,
Yeah, I think, Ben, I think I'm getting worked up because it is Google. I just don't like their practices, but I don't like the cloud stuff either. But
Google. Okay,
let's wrap it there. I'm sure we'll talk about Stadia again because it's like one of my most. I love talking about it because I really don't like it. But let's move on to this last one here. So, Blizzard co-founder Frank Pearce has stepped down after 28 years with the company. This comes just months after Mike Morhaime, another co-founder, did the same. And this just leaves one of the original co-founders left at the company, and that's J. Allen Brack, and he's the current president of Blizzard as well. I've seen a lot of people on social media commenting about this, and the vibe that I'm getting is that people are saying that this portrays the decline and the eventual end of Blizzard. And we've also had conversations internally on the show about Blizzard's aging games population and the fact that they really haven't had any major games come out in a while. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, does this necessarily show that Blizzard is having problems internally, or is this just the natural life cycle of a company, or in this case, a person's career? And before you answer, I'm sure if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can already tell that Dave has left. His internet cut out, so he's just a black box right now. So sorry, Dave. But he did text me his answer to this because he wanted to comment on Blizzard because he's a big Blizzard fanboy, so he's with us in spirit. But what Dave said was, my main point was going to be that those guys have been there for almost 30 years. They're getting older. They've made a lot of money and created successful games. Maybe it's just time to retire. He also said that I'm sure that it's very stressful being in that position for all those years. And he said that this was his counterpoint to the fact that Blizzard is in decline or failing. He said that may be a little bit true, but he sees it more of just being like a part of this person's career, and that he has made his money and he's done.
Yeah. I think the thing is, all those things could be true at the same time. It's a paradox that we're dealing with here. It's a long time to be with the company. He's made his money. Retire.
Whether if it had something to do with Activision or Blizzard's roller coaster, of events going on in the course of the last year. Who cares? I'm with you. I'm with Ben. I'm with Dave. The guy just doesn't want to work anymore. He's ready to retire.
Well, I'm not just saying. I'm saying that's probably true. I'm also saying that this company has changed drastically. I think that it's going more downhill than in its peak years, or its years where it brought us great story and great characters and really great games and game mechanics.
The StarCraft 1s,
yeah,
the Warcraft 3s, the Diablo 2s of Blizzard are long over.
Yes.
But just to counterpoint that, they did just have their best financial year to date last year.
That doesn't matter.
They have microtransactions now, and they have Call of Duty.
I'm just saying.
That's all I'm
saying.
It's not just Blizzard anymore. It's Activision.
Yeah. And not only that, but this
they have Candy Crush.
Do they
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Activision owns King.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's probably a lot of their revenue right there.
It definitely is.
Seriously, it is.
Yeah.
But the main thing with me with the Blizzard thing is it's run its course, and the people who were passionate, they're gone. Now it's a carcass of business. It's a business.
So pessimistic.
It's a business. You know what I mean? It's not an art form anymore. I mean,
just because these guys step down doesn't mean that it's.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's not a carcass. It's a dead deer on the side of the road, and it's rotting.
You're telling me that every employee they hire in from here on out is somebody who just doesn't give a shit at all. I don't buy it.
I couldn't disagree more, Ben. Like you just said, this guy, like everybody's saying, like 28 years they've been working.
I'm saying it's all true, you buffoon.
You say
almost all pensions out there are 30 and out.
You're putting too much concentration on one of the aspects.
Right, like Josh was saying, the Diablo 2 and Warcraft 3 and things like that, that was years ago. Those days are over. You have to imagine that in that length of your career that you obviously don't have the same drive and passion and, knowledge and things like that about what's going on in the industry, what people like. It's time for these people to probably get out, and for new people that can come around and make the new Diablo 2, make the new...
No, I'm telling you, business people are coming out.
No, well, that's I know, Adam, I think that's a great point. Like, Frank Pearce, his baby isn't Overwatch. I think that's pretty
he
safe
got pulled
to
off to do that, I think.
You know, like, World of Warcraft is his baby. StarCraft, like, that's what he wanted to work on. Like, Overwatch isn't that.
Right.
It's very, very
so
far
that's
from
what
that.
I'm saying. The art.
Well, it's a different art. It's just a different art.
Yeah, okay, yes.
It's art for the new generation.
It's art that I don't like.
You're going to get, as a company, you don't need us four to tell you, for the people who are listening, or you three to sit here and listen to my bullshit coming out of my mouth. But as something grows, like Blizzard, if you and the four of us ran Blizzard, and it got to the point where we had this...
It would be in tip-top shape.
Yeah, it'd be good.
This is true. We would definitely bring other people in. And with every new person that comes in, you have different opinions, different aspirations, different views.
Just to counterpoint that, Josh, I would run all the finances. Ben would be head marketer. Adam would be head of product, and you'd be the community manager. We really need any...
Okay.
All right. I'll
that's so true. That's so true. What you are saying, McNeil. As humans, we want things to last. We want to keep getting that feeling that we got from the original lore, or the original first game that we played. But the better part of us is being able to let go of that and accept it for what it was and move on.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think everybody needs to move on from these people that used to work at Blizzard, because obviously they're not
in agreement. But the shit that they're making is not good.
Well, is that their
I don't
fault?
know that I don't know that Overwatch or Hearthstone are technically.
I guarantee
bad.
you, this Frank Pearce guy has a boss over in Activision. There's he's not running the show anymore. You know.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. This shit's garbage.
I don't think
can't blame this guy.
As soon as they got rid of Heroes,
you're blaming this guy.
I don't like that they got rid of Heroes, but I think Blizzard's still putting up.
Yeah,
I mean the Diablo Immortal thing. Yeah, I mean it stunk, but I get why they did it. I mean, I think like a company like EA,
because
I think you can say
it's a
company like EA, you can say that they're making crap.
Blizzard isn't coming.
But Blizzard, I don't think they're coming.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
They're definitely not listening to their consumer base.
Blizzard?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
I think Blizzard definitely listens to their base. Yeah.
Oh, Diablo.
Diablo 4 is still Diablo 4 is still being made.
Supposed to be announced this year at BlizzCon.
Yeah, they're still making it.
Yeah, because the backlash they got.
From what I heard, there was rumor that said they were supposed to do it last year and they pulled out last minute.
That sounds like PR to me.
Yeah, very well could be. But, that's a whole nother...
Yeah. I mean, Ben, I see where you're coming from. WoW, I don't think is in a great spot right now. I am not totally enthralled in Diablo. I imagine the people still playing probably aren't loving it like they used to as well. Maybe those older games aren't doing great. But yeah, Overwatch and Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm had a very short run. It's still there, but they're new games. They're not poor quality.
We just looked at the Twitch top content for the first half of the year, and
Blizzard
Hearthstone and Overwatch are 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, well, Blizzard didn't make Black Ops 4. Blizzard didn't make Destiny.
Nobody should have made Black Ops 4.
So you can't.
That just goes to my point. Just let it go. Yeah.
I just let this guy retire, say his goodbyes. In peace.
Yeah.
The industry doesn't need to go up and do an uproar because and Blizzard is crumbling and burning because one of the guys who's been working for 30 years is retiring.
Just let the rotting carcass rot.
It's strange. Reggie from Nintendo stepped down from Nintendo America. Reggie, the guy that we all love from all the memes and stuff. He's awesome, but I didn't hear anything about Nintendo. Nintendo wasn't going up in flames because Doug Bowser was replacing Reggie. I actually only heard good things. So I don't know why Blizzard has this gloom and doom. Oh no, Frank Pearce is leaving now. Like the whole world's gonna crumble.
Look at all the people bouncing in and out of EA. Nobody's going, EA's about to get so much better, or EA's about to get worse. Right. It's just because Blizzard has, made these great games.
Yeah, they have a high standard,
and people are I understand that people are worried, but it's just to go back. Wolf and I we already said it. The old days are over. We're not going to get another Diablo 2 or Warcraft. I guess we're getting Warcraft 3.
Okay, well, this is the last thing that I'll say about it. So this is the thing
you're not allowed to say you're not allowed to say the word carcass in this whole message, though.
Okay, I can't say anything. I'm just kidding. The thing with me is like that. The story-based stuff, which that's what really got Blizzard popular, was their lore and these great worlds that they could build. That's gone. So really, they should just change their fucking name. It should be Frosty or something.
I don't know. I can't do it. You're all over the place.
Yeah, you are. I think it's the shirt. I think it's gone straight to your head.
Yeah, it was too
I'm
tight.
telling you, it's not the same. You guys keep on saying, well, we got to accept. I'm saying we got to let go.
Just bust another button there. Buddy.
I'm just saying.
Okay, I have a question for you, and I don't want to keep tracking it. Okay, you're being really hard on Blizzard, but you're very forgiving on Stadia. For being like all about let's hold on to the past, like we don't want things to change. You're really welcoming to Google, but you hate Blizzard. What's the difference?
Well, Blizzard.
Crickets.
Well, Google doesn't have any stake yet, so they're kind of just entering. It's kind of like the
Google doesn't have any stake.
Well, I'm saying they don't
have any prior.
They don't have any current, is what I'm saying. Current, or they have future, of course. Current or past. So what I'm saying is like, why give them a hard time? But you guys, there's good indicators to give them a hard time and be wary of them. Blizzard, in my opinion, is like they've changed so much and they've changed into something. This is for me personally. I'm not talking about for them and their future or them making money or whatever. For me personally, less emphasis and passion to make an art form and more to make games that are for newer generations that are fast paced and that, are dumb.
All right, let's wrap there. Unless someone else has something to say, but I think that's pretty much it. Dave, if you're listening, sorry that you got cut out. Feel bad.
I'm sure Dave would have had some nice things to say to me.
Oh yeah, he would have been all over you.
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah. Shit.
He might have agreed with you. But thanks so much for listening. If we missed any of your favorite time-oriented games, let us know in the comments, or try not to grill us too hard if we forgot some. There's a lot to go over. But yeah, thank you again for listening. Thanks for coming on, guys. If you listen to this on Spotify or iTunes or any other platforms, we film this live and put the VODs on YouTube. We also post our other gaming videos on there as well. And just thank you again, and we'll see you next week.